Having a great day, and their week has been good so far. So today I'm going to go ahead and go over how I water and know when to water my Hoya plants. Now, all my Hoya plants are in their plastic nursery pots. I do not plan on putting them in terracotta or glazed or any type of pots. They'll stay in even when I repot them, which Hoyas can last for a long time in a small pot. So even when they do get repotted, I'll still keep them in nursery pots. I have a bunch of them, so they will stay in nursery pots. And I've had all my Hoyas pretty much under a year, we'll say. I've had my Hoyas. The queen, this one has been with me the longest. And this is the tricolor queen carnosa. This one's been with me the longest, though. And she's big and pretty. And then I have this pretty girl who's just blooming away, and then this one. This is just a regular carnosa, I believe, or I don't know because it's starting to have yellow stripes in it. So, and then I have some peperonias in here with them, which is the same thing with them as well. So these guys are just in. These guys are in nursery pots just because I didn't have any terracottas, but I would keep these guys in terracotta, but these ones will stay in nursery pots. I just potted these ones up and they're in some fast draining soil. So anyhow, what I do with these plants and how I know it's time to water them is I have them, once again, they will stay in plastic. You know, a lot of people say that they don't want to put them in terracotta because of the roots, and I believe that is true. Their roots are pretty strong and they can grab hold to a terracotta, so I'm scared to put them in terracotta, but then again, I don't know because I've never tried it yet. So, but for now, they'll stay in their plastic nursery pots until I'll give them another year in these plastic nursery pots, and I'll probably repot them next summer because then that'll be like 2 years. But I'll still keep them in small containers. Now, what I do is I squeeze the sides. And if I can squeeze the side, I you can tell by squeezing this nursery pot, the soil is pretty much coming up on the side. That's how I know. Plus, it's very light. That's how I know when to water these plants. I squeeze the sides of the pot, and I do that with all of them. The little ones and the big ones. These ones get squeezed also, and they're very hard. So I make sure that these plants are hard to the touch, where I mean, you can barely squeeze. It's not gushy, you know. When you squeeze it, it's pretty much just very hard to squeeze. See, I can't, I don't have no, it's not soft at all. And when it's soft and gushy, that means it still needs to wait to get watered because these plants will rot out very quickly. And I've been very fortunate to not have to go through that. And that's just because I'm more of an underwaterer than I am a overwaterer. I'd rather let the plant, suffer from underwatering a little bit versus me overwatering it and killing it. So I'm almost scared to do that. So I let pretty much my plants, really my Hoyas, even my philodendrons, my sansevierias, Sansevierias, they're all in terracotta, but them I definitely keep track. I make sure they get watered. Well, now that summer's coming and it's spring, I'll water them a little bit more. But during the winter, I didn't even water none of them, and they're all still alive. So there's some pretty tough cookies. But so pretty much this is my watering routine. I put them all in bowls. As you see, they're all in bowls. This is a bowl I use. It's my little watering bowl. And what I do when I'm finished with them, just a second, is I sit them on this rack right here. I have several of these. They're baking racks. They're just cupcake baking racks. And I let them, I drain them when I pull them out. So what I do is I put them in here. How I water my plants is I pretty much keep my water out for at least 72 hours. And water containers, I have a bunch. I'll show you. So here's a few right here. I just keep them in water jugs, and I keep the tops off. And I have these all over my kitchen pretty much. Then after that, I pretty much boil them. I leave them out for about 72. Sometimes they're even out for like a week or longer. But I keep them sitting out. Then I boil them. After that, I actually boil them twice. I boil them the night before I'm going to water. And then that gives the house humidity also while I'm boiling. And then which my kitchen, that's why I have all my humidity divas in the kitchen now, because they love the kitchen. So anyhow, I boil them the night before. Then I boil it again in the morning just so the water's warm. And then I put it in my can, my little cute little water can. And then I just try my hardest not to get their leaves wet, and I pour the water in like this. And what I do is try to go halfway to the half of the pots. And it's so cute because, so I have 2 peperomias and 3 Hoyas in here. It's so cute because you can tell when they've pretty much drink the water up. You can look at, because it'll be halfway, and then I actually look at the water when so this is going to be like 2. I'll fill this up with 2 cans, and then I fill it up, and it's halfway through the pot. I make sure it's halfway. And I don't let the water go into the soil. It's pretty much half of the pot. And it's so cute because they do drink it up. They drink the water up. And you can literally look and see when how much water's left after you've watered them. And then I just pull each one out, squeeze it like you're squeezing a sponge. I squeeze the pot. This is for the nursery pot ones. Now the ones that aren't in nursery pots, I have another water routine, but today I'm just basically going over how I do my Hoyas. I leave them sitting for a few hours, sometimes several hours. I leave them sitting so they get a good drink. Now, I've did a lot of research on underwatering, and for one thing for sure, it gets the fungus gnat situation under control because they're being watered underneath, so the fungus gnats like the soil at the top being wet, and that's one thing. And in that fungus you get at the top from when it's cold and you're watering your plants, even if you don't overwater your plants, you'll get fungus at the top when it's really, really cold, and you have to still water them no matter what, when it's cold or not cold. So anyhow, that for one, you're taking the chance of not having fungus gnats, for one, when you're underwatering it. For two, that the roots are getting watered, because when you leave the plant rock hard, even if you put, a toothpick, or some people use chopsticks, or to aerate the water, the soil, is still hard. The soil is still hard. When you water from underneath, they're pulling the water up, so the roots are actually getting touched, because that's what you want. You're not trying to water just the soil. You want the soil wet, but you want the roots to get wet. That's the main part. And when you water from underneath, especially with Hoyas, you don't get water on their leaves, and peperomias, they don't really like water on their leaves either. Now you can give them a shower. It seems like when you give them a shower, that water pretty much comes off quickly. But if I've missed my plants, or Hoyas need a fan on them constantly, because they do not like, they want air circulation. They love air circulation. Really, all plants do. And I learned the hard way, because her little new leaf started getting black on it, and it was because I had her up under the humidifier. I was misting her. I didn't know, and I didn't have the air on, and so she started getting black. Once I noticed that, I cut it off, sprayed them all down with neem oil just to be safe, because the neem also helps with the black spot, mold spot, or whatever. And I went ahead and got that, in check immediately. And the underwatering has helped a lot. It seemed like they even grow better now that I've been underwatering them. These plants are really growing like crazy. And letting them dry completely out, you're letting their roots breathe, because when it's soggy, and it teaches them, it's something about letting these plants dry completely out, the Hoyas. They really their roots end up breathing well, and they're able to breathe, and drying out, it gives them air to me. So anyhow, that's pretty much my watering routine for my Hoyas. I just like to let them dry completely out, and I squeeze the bottom of the container, so that way I know if it's rock hard. If it's hard for me to push, you can pretty much tell when you push the sides of the container that they're in, on the nursery pot. When you squeeze the nursery pot and it's hard, that plant is dry, bone dry. And that's what I do with my Hoyas and peperomias and sansevierias. I'll show a routine on how I do my sansevierias, because they get even drier. But these ones, I let them dry completely out. All my Hoyas and my peperomias, they all pretty much are dried out. And so the bigger ones, I do the same thing. I leave them in these bowls, and I fill the water up halfway. These are glass bowls. This is a plastic bucket. I use this thing for everything: watering, potting, everything. So, but yeah, the glass bowls, I have the big ones in, and I do the same thing. I pretty much fill it up till halfway of the pot. Then I know, and you can tell the difference, because you'll see they actually drink up that water, because you'll look in the bowl, and that's when I know to pull them out also. And then I squeeze them real good. Squeeze it like it's a sponge, and get all that excess water out, and then I put them on their drying trays, and I leave them like this for a few days, actually, before I put them back in their little, dressy container pots that they sit in, just so I can make sure they've dried completely. Well, they're not going to be all the way dry, but there's no water dripping. And that's why I put them on this, so then they air. I know that they've aired out. This has a little lift, So if any excess water is going to drip onto here, sometimes I put a towel under this, and then they just sit on this for a few days. Then I put them back in their containers. So this is my watering routine for my Hoyas. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. She's about to get in another pot herself, this one too. But this is pretty much it for them. This is their watering routine, and they're growing really good. I have them up against a west window. I'll do, a video on care, but this is the watering right now. So this is pretty much how I water my Hoyas, and they're looking pretty good. This one had some of those, when I first got her, she had the little black mold things. That's because there was moisture. They don't like, being overwatered or moisture in the air. They want to make sure, they like humidity, but they need that air circulation. But she's doing good. This is a Hoya ovulata. She's doing pretty good. This one was labeled as Hoya Ripple. So I don't know. That's the name they gave me for her. I don't know. I still don't know what kind of plant this is. Because when you look at the Hoya Ripple, it doesn't even look like this. So I don't know. We'll see eventually. I'll keep figuring it out, because or she may end up blooming to being a Hoya Ripple once her leaves get a little bit bigger. But anyhow, this is my watering routine. Like I said, I fill the water up halfway, boil the water the night before, and I boil it before I water them in the morning. It's lukewarm. I don't have it burning hot, boiling hot. Now I do boil it till it's boiling the night before, though. I do that. Then the next day, I just put the burners on and warm it up just a little tiny bit. And then I water them like this. So I hope I was very informative on how I water my Hoyas and my peperomias as well. But really, this is definitely a Hoya routine. And the Hoyas pretty much all get watered at the same time, because it's generally like every month, I'll say, I water them. Because by then, they're bone dry. It takes them about a month. Even the little pots, it seemed like they all dry out at the same time. And I just give them all a good drink. This way, they're able to drink. Their leaves ain't soaking in water. And I'm getting rid of the chances of getting fungi at the top of the water when you water from the top. So it's hard to water them from the top without getting their leaves all wet. So when you water from the underneath, it really makes a difference. And I do pretty much all my plants this way. I water them from underneath. Even the ones that are in terracotta or in pots, they go underneath, because they, now when I repot my plants, I do make sure I water from the top and give them a good soak through. And then after that, everybody gets pretty much watered like this. But mainly the Hoyas, I don't play around with them, and they have grown and shown me how much they appreciate me, the way that I've been watering them and not messing with them, leaving them alone, and letting them go bone dry. So this is the way that I take care of my Hoya plants. I'm not saying anybody, this is the way, scientifically and horticultural way that everyone's supposed to do it. I live in Sacramento, California. This is the way that I water my plants, my Hoya plants, and pretty much all my plants, but mainly my Hoya plants. So I hope everyone enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.